Good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Jade, good to see you. Glad you're here. Shar, good to see you as well. We still have a few people trickling in real quick. Do remember, we have super chats live and active. Any super chat of $5 or more get you entered in a weekly spell working this week for prosperity, well being, good luck, um, and just the general shaping to move you in the direction that your goals are oriented. Um, Also, if you just want to drop us a super chat to support the channel, you can. And super chats flash up really big on the screen over here. So if you have a question for whatever reason, it's getting missed because last week we got major busy. It was amazing. So many wonderful people here. That is a way to make sure it gets seen. Okay. Also, don't forget, we do have an online school. It's over at workingdragonmystic.com. You'll see the tab says online courses. Go over there. You will find Dragon Magic 101, 102, a tarot course, meditation course, a course on developing your arcane senses. And we are adding more courses to that as we go. Um, and if you're interested in like the coffee cups that you see me drinking out of, many of you keep asking me about them. You can find those at workingdragonmystic.com as well. Just click the merch tab. We got a lot of stuff over there. Um, hey, Blue Star, good to see you. Karma, good to see you. Ray, hello. And Pipe Smoking Heathen, hey. Um, I am doing very, very good, actually. It's been a fun, but busy weekend here. I hope you are doing as good as well, my man. Um, thank you, Jade, for that link. Appreciate that. Also, if you're interested in joining the Gilded community, do so. We got a lot of people over there at the Gilded community that are helping each other out and encouraging each other in their particular practices. So keep and what am I going to keep an eye out for that? It's already there. Jade will share that one for you. Sorry, I am still a little scattered. It was, like I said, it was a fun weekend. I am a little tired, but that's okay. We got coffee. We'll get through this. All right. So, hopefully, you all have been having fun, and hopefully, you enjoyed the video this week, which, as I do recall, was about balancing life, and actually featured our very own Jade, who gave us an insight into how she actually manages to keep up and balance her extremely chaotic life, which to this day is something that's surprising. I do a lot, but I don't have to chase kids around the way she does. So, mugs up to you, Jade. Um, this week we actually got more on the outdoor series finally coming. I know a lot of people's been asking about that, so that is coming. Really looking forward to do it. This one's going to be talking about actually the importance of checking your gear before you actually go, as well as I'm going to be talking about some of the newer gear that I've been looking at. And actually, I literally I was checking it before I went because I got a camp out coming up, and I do plan to take this one with me. So there we go. Let's see what else. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, that is one thing. We did just finish another recording that you should be seeing in a few weeks coming out. EA Quetting was nice enough to join us again on a topic about entities working with humans and driving humans forward and teaching us to help us grow, to evolve. It was a fascinating conversation. Everyone involved was we lost track of time. We really did. I can't remember how long we went, but I am pretty sure we easily coasted past the hour. But it was a fantastic conversation. And to be fair, it actually, after we all logged out, new ideas were popping up immediately. So who knows? We may be seeing more of EA on here. That would be pretty cool. Um, Such an easy guy to talk to. Easy guy to talk to. Uh, am I forgetting anything, Jade? Thundercap, hello. Good to see you. Also, if you are here, do hit the like button. It lets YouTube know you like what we're doing, and especially in the summer slump, that is important. During the summer slump, if we're not getting those likes and those comments and stuff, YouTube stops pushing us because they're going to try and push more and more stuff. So during the summer slump, it gets slow around here, just so y'all know that. Hopefully it'll pick back up though. Um, some people have asked me if I'm worried about any of the changes to YouTube. At this time, I'm not. That's not to say I'm not watching them, I'm not considering them, I'm not thinking about them, but I'm not worried about them at this time. So far, YouTube's been good to us as far as, we knew what we signed up for over here, what their terms were, those kinds of things. And that's been fine. Will the changes cause us to reach out and try other platforms as well? Maybe. We're looking into a few options if it comes, or if, I don't know, something does happen. But at this point in time, I'm not too worried just yet. Actually, I'm not worried. I don't foresee me being worried. But I do thank you all for your concerns and how many of you all message me and be like, hey, Drake, have you seen this? Are you worried about this? I do appreciate it. Just because I'm not currently worried, don't think I don't appreciate the messages, because it's good to know y'all look out for me in the channel. So appreciate that as well. Like that. You think I covered everything? All right, cool. First time for everything. Let's see, Maria. I know that humans can have guardian dragons, but can other entities or deities have them too? Yes, other entities throughout the multiverse can indeed have guardian dragons with them. Usually they're reserved for entities that are still in the early young stages. Usually, that's not always the case, but primarily I'd say 90% of the time it is. So it would be rare for a deity to have one. Is it probable? It's probable. I personally have not come across a deity that has one directly yet, or has one that I know of yet. Might be a better way to phrase that. But I would put it into probability, because as far as, like entities that they specifically like draw a line and say, nope, I've not seen any such list. I just know that dragons tend to reserve them for the much, much younger races, entity kind of concepts, to which humans clearly qualify. We're still young and dumb in the entity view lens there. Thundercap, have I ever met my guardian angel? Yes, I have. I've worked with my guardian angel quite a bit. I actually enjoy working with angels. And I'm actually getting ready to start a series on angels. And as I've mentioned once, the main reason I haven't done a lot of info on angels is anytime you jump into angelic lore, it becomes a crap show, because you either go high dogma religion and you go down that lane, or you go into a lane where you can't connect the dots. I mean, it's just like somebody just took Jello, threw it in a blender, left the top off, and it just goes all over everywhere. And neither of those is conducive to helping anyone begin to understand angels or to begin to work with them. And y'all know we avoid dogma and religion. We don't bash religion, but we avoid going down, trying to avoid dogmatic pathways if we can. That said, I have found a book that I like. I keep going to it time and time again. It's a very standalone book. I like the author. I've used the methods. I've used the methods in other formats, not just that format. So it's been tested across a large spectrum, and it functions very, very well. That is where we're going to start the angel series. That is exactly where we're going to start. Because that way you can get in there and start working. And most of these angels, I don't think most people will have heard of, because I'm pretty sure the big four aren't in that book. So you probably won't see in this initial series Michael, Raphael, Uriel, and Gabriel. Though I will do videos on those. I love those four angels also. But as directly in that series, those aren't usually included in there. And I'm actually wanting to do a video on Raziel, though I actually need to reach out to him, sit down, talk to him, see if he's down for that, and if he is, how he wants to format that one, just because and how that one works. A lot of respect for him there. So hopefully that'll be coming soon. We're trying. We're trying. Can a magician work effectively with spirits without the use of absolutely? I don't have an altar. I have not had an altar in years. I have a workspace, um, but I do not use an altar, nor do I have a dedicated altar or a charged altar. In fact, my workspace is wherever I flop down to do the workings at the time. That's why I use the word workspace. I do not use an altar. Again, that's just so, yes, you can. In fact, I would say my best workings have never been on an altar. Um, for those who like altars and want to keep them, I got no issues with them. They take up too much room. They're too much work. They're a lack of efficiency in my brain. Um, so yes, if a magician or mage does not wish to have an altar in some form or fashion, you are more than welcome to not. You can definitely do what I do, where I just have a workspace. And if you're wondering what I mean by workspace, I literally mean where I flop down to do the work. It is the area I do. I have an island in the kitchen. I've cleared that off to do a working. I have done workings right here at my desk. I've just cleared it off, made the room through what I needed down here. I've done workings right over here. I got a nice little clear spot in the floor that I use to work out and occasionally do rituals. I've done rituals in my car. I really have. So when I say workspace, it is wherever I just sit down to get ready to do it. That's where I do it. Pretty straightforward and simple. All right. So yeah, definitely, Lucas. Definitely. What's it like working with Gabriel? I've enjoyed working with Gabriel every time I've ever worked with Gabriel. Um, when I've worked with him, how do you explain? Because he's part of me wants to call him quiet, but that's compared to like other entities I work with, which are really loud. So that's not really a fair shake, to be honest. Honestly, he kind of reminds me of your average Joe. He's well spoken, he's kind of soft spoken most of the time, but he has this really good way of when he speaks, you listen. That kind of, if you ever met that person, they don't really say a lot. It's not that they're quiet all the time. It's just that when they speak, you listen and they choose their words well. Um, that's kind of what he reminds me of. Other than that, he's very calm, very mild mannered, easy to get along with, really easy to relate to for me. Definitely one of the angels that I can just sit and chat with back and forth. So for me, that's always been nice. I'm sure other people's going to have in different experiences, and that's one thing when you say, "What's it like to work with this entity?" You got to remember these entities have a personality, they have a viewpoint, they have ideals, they have thoughts. Just like not everyone's going to want to talk to me. Not everyone's going to like me. I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Um, Even if you like this channel, if you were to meet me in person, I might annoy you. You never know. Um, Entities are the same way. So your experience and it's going to be, they are them and you are you, and there's going to be an individual interaction there that really it's between you and them strictly. So I can comment on how my experiences have gone. Um, but that's about it. Like Raphael, honestly, um, this time last year, if you asked me about Raphael, I told you he's a dick. Him and I worked together a lot. He's been very successful in those workings. But by and large, would I sit down and have a chat with him or hang out? No, because I thought he was a dick. Um, Notice I said this time last year. Well, in the filming of the evocation course, Raphael is one of the entities I reached out to during that course. Him and I actually reached an epiphany point where I learned a lot about his viewpoints and everything. And him and I, um, honestly, at this point, him and I love to sit down and chat now. It's like a completely different relationship, which is pretty cool. So, just something to consider. So, Angela, I have an alter and a preference. But when traveling, I use my sanctum. Yeah, like it's a preference, Angela, and that's great. Like I said, I know a lot of people who have them, and then they're freaking gorgeous. I just I'm a very Spartan, minimalistic house kind of guy. Like my house naturally is going to gravitate to clutter, so I want as little in it as possible. So that's a personal thing for me. So yeah, definitely. Have I ever worked with Beelzebub? I have worked with Beelzebub a few times in the past. Had some pretty good successes with him. Da-da-da-da. Vicky, I was wondering, can dragons show themselves to us in clouds as a form of physical manifestation, or am I just delusional? I think I see dragons. I hope it's not a dumb question. It's not a dumb question. First off, so dragons will occasionally play with clouds. They will occasionally shape them and manipulate them. They do not assume the cloud shape itself because if a dragon pulls over to the physical realm directly, that can cause a lot of problems, especially larger dragons and larger forms. Clouds are really freaking big. If you can see a cloud that it's big, that would be problematic if it was physical, even at that distance. So, could a dragon be showing itself to you? Possibly. I'm one of those that even as a mage, I'm still a skeptic first. So I don't really rely on clouds for a lot of things because there's a lot of things that can manipulate clouds and they can shape it into whatever they want, including dragon shapes. So um, I would work on your arcane senses more and develop that so that you can see just beyond the clouds and see what's actually there in a better sense without relying on the physical. That'd be my personal advice, but it's not a dumb question. And it's a very big probability that something like that could be happening. And I wouldn't discount it entirely. There's a difference in being skeptical and discounting entirely. I never discount it entirely. Well, that I won't discount entirely. There's some things, like if you walk up to me, I'm the third coming of Merlin. I'm going to discount that because in my lifetime alone, in the last 10 years, I've met about 200 Merlins, supposedly, and they're just a bunch of dipshits giving themselves gold stars, if you want my honest opinion. So that I would discount. But what you said about the dragons, no. Thundercap, archangels, the least second hierarchy of angels. Have you met a very good, Thundercap? You are correct. Most people think archangels are the top echelon of angels. They are not. At the very bottom, you have just the regular old everyday angel, just angels. Above them, at spot 2, you have archangels, which I've always found cool because people do talk about them like they're up here with like the cherubims and the seraphim and them. I have met a few seraphim angels, and I know I've met everything in the top echelons. I've met everything in the bottom. I'm not 100% if I've met an angel for all categories in the middle. I think I have, but since I'm unsure, I'm going to just mark it as unsure, and we need to fill in that gap if it's there. Hope that makes sense. I prefer to lean to the I haven't than I have when I come to unsure. But you are correct. Most people do not realize that archangels are actually pretty low on the totem pole. Vicky, hey Vicky, the only dumb question is an unasked question in my opinion. We all are here from different backgrounds, different levels of knowledge, different levels of experience. You don't know if you don't ask. So yeah, by all means, if you got a question, if it sounds silly, ask it. I don't mind. I mean, if somebody showed up in here and said, Drake, could I actually resurrect a skeleton chicken and have a pet skeleton chicken? Is it a stupid question? Technically, no, it's not. A lot of magicians might roll their eyes and be like, necromancy don't work that way, that you're talking fiction and fantasy. But you know what? A lot of people come into magic don't know how to sort through what's the fictional stuff, what's the confirmed real stuff. And then there's the bleeding area of how far can humanity push magic? Can we push it over into what might be viewed as fictional one day? Don't know. Maybe. Who would be there to act? No. But if you don't ask the question and you don't know the answer, you won't know the answer. So even something that most people might view as absurd like that, I view as a tangible question. Now, if you constantly ask the same question over and 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 over, then you might be starting. I don't know if it'd be a stupid question or just annoying, because then if you're getting an answer, someone's actually answering the question, then one does wonder why you keep asking the question. But that's a philosophical hole we could go down. But you're fine. You're fine. Violet Star, good to see you. Welcome. Let's see. Woo, we jumped. Crap. Brenna, I'm new to this. Still have Christian thinking sometimes. Can't tell my family about my beliefs. It happens. A lot of people do. I got a lot of students that are Christians. I got people who's left Christianity and come to different practices. I myself am not religious in any shape, form, or fashion, but I also have students who they are currently practicing Christians and they're working in magic and everything. So religion has no part in it. Magic is magic. Religion's over here. Magic is here. Religion's way over here. They're actually separated, even though many religions will connect them, like Wicca will connect them. You can be Wicca, never do magic. You can do magic, never be Wicca. You can be Christian, never do magic. You can also be Christian and do magic. Across the board. So, yeah, I mean, it does, it gets tricky sorting through it. Weirdly, I would actually say my time studying in seminary actually helped my magical career when I left the church. Because in seminary, you learn way past what most people learn just sitting on the pew being talked to. You're taught more about the theory of theology. And I think that really did help me, weirdly as that may be. Um, to Drew, Angela, maybe Merlin was more of it. Yeah, I mean the question of Merlin. Oh my God, could that's an open book right there. And that is a fair point. What if Merlin was more like a title, more like Satan, because Satan's actually a title that means adversary, and it was used that way long, long, long before humans started considering it as an entity. Um, so Merlin very well could be a title. And that is an interesting concept. And there's a lot of research and study that's going into like the Arthurian legends, the archaeological, actual factual history of who many of the characters in these myths may be. And actually, they're tracking him. I want to say they're actually thinking Arthur might actually come more from Ireland than anything. But so, and this is me nerding out because I go down through archaeology and science and all this, and then I look at the myths and I interconnect, and I could almost have a conspiracy board with the way I love to see how all these interconnect. And Merlin is definitely one of those figures within those myths and legends when we see him. He's connected with so many different things. People have viewed him as a shaman, as a druid, and so many other things into, of course, mage and magicians. Um, and then how he seems to show up in the stories at different time periods could lead one to believe it's not the same Merlin, but it's someone who's carrying that title. Um, it's a fascinating concept. But I'll not go too far down that rabbit hole because I'll start rambling really bad. And then someone found a final petition and got it twisted. Brenna, are Odin and Lucifer the same entity? No, not even by a long shot. They get along. They can bicker from time to time, but they do get along. And they're both fascinating to sit and have conversations with. I've worked with both of them quite a bit. Odin more than Lucifer, I actually have to admit. Due to my upbringing, Lucifer was weirdly one of the entities. Like, I didn't even realize I avoided contacting him, but when I contacted him, I adored him. I really did. Great guy to sit down and chat with. Um, but no, him and Odin very, very differently. And we do have this concept where we try to make all entities just a mask of another entity. And in some cases, I think that is a probability, but in most of those cases, I've never found that to actually be the case. But definitely an interesting one. I don't actually ever think I've heard anyone connect the two. I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure it's happened, but just not in the circles I've traveled, because I've seen people connect to some really off the wall things. Like, I've actually been asked. Now, this one's the one that surprised me, and I don't even know how this person got there. They asked me if Lilith was Odin. I was like, no, 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 no. I'm pretty sure that's not the case. Now, I work with Lilith occasionally. I love her. I adore her. I wish I had more time to work with her. In fact, I'm actually considering dedicating a massive path working to her. But that said, I've never seen anything to make me make that leap. So, to the best of my experience, I'm going to have to say no on both of those. Let's see. Halloween, thank you for joining us. Good to see you, Squirrel. Feel free to nerd away. I'm glad. I'm glad you all appreciate my nerdiness, because when it comes to science, archaeology, like, I am that guy. Actually, me and my wife do it. We will sit and binge watch, like, Expedition Unknown and Bermuda Triangle documentaries, or history documentaries. That's what we do. Forensic files also, so we really get into forensic science a lot too. So if you want an inside look to what do I do in my free time, I binge watch nerdy crap like that. But it also teaches. I'm always big on learning more and more and more and seeing viewpoints. Um, I just love it. On Nano message, can entities fall in love with humans? I know it's a weird question. I would say yes, they can, though the concept of it isn't what we humans think of. We humans think of fall in love with each other, monogamous relationship, take your vows, jump a broom, whatever you want to call it. And then, haha, we're bound together. You're my husband, I'm your wife. It don't work that way with entities. It does not. Um, First off, love is far larger in a context than that, especially throughout the multiverse. Um, and with that also comes, like, I would say, if you think an entity loves you, you should be scared. You should be very scared, because there's certain, like, expectations of reliability that comes with that, that would be a little terrifying in a lot of cases, especially depending on the entity. Um, but at the same time, it's not going to be, don't think of this in the human monogamous traditional relationship. They're yours, you're them concept. That is not what it would mean. That is not what it would mean on any level of that. So just consider that. It gets complex. It gets hard. The short answer is yes, but it's not fair to just say yes, because, like I say, if I just say yes, people's going to think, oh, well, it's going to assume. It functions just like we view it, and that wouldn't be a fair shake either. So hopefully that helps a little bit there. Um, Melissa, hello, new to this page and chat. Hope all of you are doing well. Hey, Melissa, welcome. Glad you could join us. Thank you for joining us. In fact, it's always great to see new people, especially in summer, because summer, this channel hits the summer lulls. Let's be honest. Everybody's out having picnics and boating and doing crazy summer stuff. No one really wants to come here and Mage talk about random stuff. So it's always great to have new people. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're enjoying the channel. I hope you participate in the chat and all those good things. Love having you. Um, what do we got here? Well, it's busy in here today. I'm loving it. I am loving it. And also, hey, people, we got 23 people and 14 likes. Get those thumbs up, people. Let YouTube know they need to share the channel around a bit, because even though it's summer, people still enjoy us. All right, get those likes up. And if you actually want to share this on your Facebook or wherever you do your social media stuff at, feel free to do that too. Um, Brandon, have I worked with Lucifuge Replica? Yes, I have. During my past work of the Cliff Off, I've had to work with him a few times. He is one I've worked with. I enjoyed working with. Um, I won't say I enjoyed many of the lessons I had to go through while working with him, but he, as an individual entity, I enjoyed. I do have to separate the lessons from him, though. Downside to this is I've not really gone back and just spent a lot of time with him directly. So have I worked with him? Yes. Do I have a lot of solid data on him? No. And I can only go with my first impressions. First impressions, I liked him. But then again, who knows? Maybe he's one of those that in the long term, he's annoying. I don't know. But I don't think he is. I think honestly, if him and I were to work in the long term, I think I'd still like him, personally speaking. But it's just been just during those two different path workings, which technically is two sections of a larger path working. So it was one path working, but I did come through that area twice and get to work with him. Okay, there we go. Angela, she is Vicky. Angela is one of the sweetest people. She inspires me to be a better person, even if that's possible. All right, we jumped. Crap. All right, we'll just pick up here. Angela, it's both the little and the big picture. My grandmother would tell me. That makes sense. Lucas, thank you for answering. Forgive me if I sound like a questionnaire to follow up on my latest question. Do you see a difference in invoking with deity versus self deification? Yes, yes, I do. Yes, I do. So here's the thing self deification, in its original terminology, is about the empowerment of the self and the process of making that transition. Invocation, you are bringing an outside power into you from another entity. And that invocation is really weirdly talked about. Like we talk about invocation and channeling and medium work, like, oh, it's safe, it's easy peasy, no side effects. Wrong. Regardless of what level of invocation, whether it's just medium work, channeling, full invocation, and there's even levels above that, we're moving into like full possession rights and stuff like that. Those are going to have an effect because you are taking in a energetic um, diagram, if you will, an energetic blueprint into your own energy to empower you and to teach you and to help you grow. That means it is having an effect. It is essentially leaving a energetic fingerprint on your energy body. Now, this can change your personality, this can change your mood, this can change the way you react to certain stimuli, including people, foods, weather. I mean, it will have an effect on how you respond because if you alter the energy body at that level, it literally alters to some extent who you are. Okay. Now, that's not to say you should not do it because, recall, mages do it all the time. But being aware of this change is important. Being aware of this change is very important because if you utilize this and you are aware of it, you can plan accordingly and you can actually utilize what entities you're evoking to even try to steer that change in a direction you want. And the more powerful the evocation, the more time or more powerful the invocation, the longer that fingerprint will stay. This is actually why, if you pay attention to a lot of channelers who go around channeling willy nilly, you realize their life is chaotic, to say the least. That's putting it nicely. And that's because they're going around just channeling this and 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 this. And suddenly their energetic body looks like they have an army of toddlers with sticky fingers just grabbing onto them. And they have no sense of identity at that point. And they're not taking any time off. They're not doing the grounding. They're not doing the cleansing. They're not doing the, that spacing to let it rebalance. Um, but there is a difference between the two. Both of them have a usage. Both of them have a point. And then you have a process that's also called God form assumption. That would actually be a third category. That again, it is a third out of the category. It's not the same as either of the other two. So there's a lot to go into that whole little bucket, to say the least, mate. Which actually, invocation is one of the things we are going to be talking about in the evocation class. I know it sounds weird because it's an evocation class, not an invocation class, but they utilize a lot of the same skill sets. And though the method, it's outward and inward, it seems pointless to make a secondary class. So we're going to be discussing invocation in depth in the evocation class as well. There we go. Woo! Let's see. Where was it? Thundercap, what's your opinion on selling soul shards for supernatural powers, like you see on TV? It's horse shit. It's absolute 100% Hollywood horse shit. And you got a bunch of con artists out there trying to get you to pay them to make some kind of soul contract. Entities don't want your soul. They have no need for your soul. It has no value to them. It has no power. It's literally useless. Like, they have more use for a rock you find on the side of the road than they have for your soul, shard or entirely. So it's absolutely useless when you actually spend time in the planes talking with entities, working with entities, and you actually start to study the soul. It's a con game. If you want actual power, do the work and get it, because even the entities that, like, pact work is a thing, but you don't sell your soul in a pact. I actually did 2 videos, if not 3, on real pact work as opposed to Hollywood. Give those a check. And do check them all out. Like, there's a reason there's more than one of them. I have some people who pop in, watch one, and then they send me a list of questions. It's like, check out the second video. All your questions are in there. Let's see. Well, Squirrel, everyone's happy to see you in here today. You've been missed. Da, da, da. How do I keep energies around a goetic demon and want the demon to stick around and do some work versus dissipating for after some time? Don't be lazy, honestly. That's the thing. If you want energy to stick around, you have to continue to work with the energy or it dissipates. It's like anything else. And these entities, you can work with them and they're going to visit, just like your friend. Let's say your friend has cheap cologne and your house smells like that cologne, and it's comforting because that's your friend. And for a day or two after a visit, it just smells like cheap cologne and you're all right. But then 3 days later, you can't smell cheap cologne no more. You got to invite your friend back over. It kind of is the same thing. There's this tendency among magicians, especially the newer magicians coming up, where it's like, I want to do one working, I want to do one spell, and I want to get everything I own, and that's it. No, there is a continual process. It will dissipate. And entities do have the free will to wander off. And honestly, I've not met an entity that won't wander off if the magician's not putting the time into the workings and the relationship, because part of that energy from a goetic entity is about the relationship you have with them. We treat goetic entities like freaking genies. Just rub the lamp and pooh, what you need, pooh, what you need. Stop treating them like that. Build an actual working friendship, and that energy will stay in your life more, because then you're not having to call them. Then they're more likely to just come by and see how you're doing, just like a friend checking on another friend. Back to our cheap cologne thing. Even if you don't invite them over for dinner or a movie or whatever you're doing, or goofing off or playing poker, your friend's liable to drop by and be like, hey, what's up? How you doing? I heard from you. Boom, cheap cologne. Entities do the same thing. Once you build an actual repertoire with them that where they're more of a friend. They're not just someone you call only when you need something. Because I can tell you my personal thing, and there's a lot of people in this world who know this. I will hang up on you if the only time you call me is when you need something. In fact, I literally had someone just last year call me after snubbing me for 3 years, asking for money. And if I'd have it in my heart to forgive them and loan them the money, I literally told them, sorry, but I left my heart where before I moved. I left it behind when I moved. That was my exact words to them because I was done. And I've noticed entities, they can be just the same way. They're more concerned with a genuine relationship than anything. They want friendship, they want an actual connection. Dragons aren't unique in that. They definitely are the ones that push it the most. Like most entities, they will show up, they'll help you for this one little thing. And there's like, well, as long as he keeps doing the work, I'll do the work. But if he don't keep doing the work, I won't do the work. Dragons are that like if you're not wanting to build that genuine relationship, they're not even going to show up. They're going to screw you. So that's my rant. Sorry, I know that was more than what you asked, and I went down a rant. But I'm sorry about that. Sorry. Y'all know I do that sometimes. Like I said, I think this whole thing came from people who saw a friend who went through a mastery change a lot and didn't understand why. It comes from a lot of places and sources, and especially religious sources that are trying to, um, well, not necessarily religious sources. Religions used a certain vocabulary, and that vocabulary got picked up by non-occultist and non-religious people, and it got twisted further and further, and it just went further and further down that road to the point where Hollywood got a hold of it. And when Hollywood got a hold of it, it just started spinning out of control into this one concept. And that's really the largest concept that we now have, sadly, and no one looks back to find its origins anymore. And then when they do look back, they only make it as far back as to maybe one or two different religions that are using it in a specific context, but then they don't research the context because they assume that a culture 2 or 3 thousand years ago is using the same context as a modern culture. And that's, you can't do that. You actually have to look at the context of the culture that it's being used in, not our culture. It's a big, deep pit, but that's why I love what I do. I always got, grabbing another book, researching this. This leads me to this. Then I got to look this up. I love it. Figured everyone got it from that old book with Mephisto. Actually, Halloween, you are correct. That is one of the primary sources of the modern concept. Is actually from the Faustian play, where you do see Mephistopheles in that particular play and making that contract and everything. That is the key turning point for the modern myth. That is correct. Look at you and your mythology knowing. In fact, anyone who's a fan of the movie Tombstone with Val Kilmer and forgot the other guy's name. Anyway, great freaking movie. Check it out. They go to a theater at the Birdcage in Tombstone, and that play is actually one of the plays that they're watching, which is pretty cool. That's a little nerdy movie history fact. We jumped again. Crap. Let's see. Oh, where are we? Okay, here we are. Vicky, I'd love to hear your thoughts on lucid dreams as a divination technique. I'm very good at that, so I'd love to be able to utilize it somehow to talk with my dragon friends but can't seem to. Okay, so dragons aren't a big fan of dreams. They really are not because of the unreliability and the overly heavy need for interpretations. And that goes into lucid dreaming too, because anytime you are in the dream realm, even when you're in control, the dream realm is molding more around your emotions and more what your brain is actually trying to process through the day, even the things you're not aware about. So, symbolism, interpretation, and all this really is like the number one thing. Now, can it be used for divinations? Absolutely. A lot of people do use it, and they get some pretty decent results. Nothing wrong with that. Dragons aren't a fan of it, especially for communication, because so much gets lost in translation. They don't like it. They find it annoying because then they have to keep repeating themselves over and over and over and over. They are far. Now, that's not to say they're against using it as a starting point. Their problem is people use it and never develop active contact, reliable methods. That's where they get annoyed because people just hit here and just stay here. They don't actually develop other skill sets that are more reliable. So you could get started there, but you should still work on your arcane sight, your arcane hearing, your meditation, and things that aren't done while asleep. Um, from a dragon's perspective, now you ask my personal perspective. I do not use it as a divination. I do not like it as a divination, and the reason being, I don't like divinations that require interpretation. I am a big fan of divinations that I can put to the test in the here and now and actually get tangible results out of without having it to be my feelings or whatnots. Many of you all have heard me say on this channel, I will not use pendulums. I do not trust pendulums because I understand the idiomotor response. And you cannot eliminate the idiomotor response if a human's holding a pendulum. You can't do it. It's not possible. Same thing with dowsing rods. That's not to say entities can't move them. It's just to say you can't eliminate the possibility of human error. That's a contaminant that I don't like in my particular divinations. Um, Also, one of the reasons I don't gravitate toward tarot as much, though I love tarot as a divination tool and have used it a lot and I've gotten pretty good results. There's still some interpretation areas. Um, but that's a personal thing. Many of you here that I know for a fact actually do tarot quite a bit and absolutely enjoy it. And you all know I enjoy tarot. I get good results with my tarot. The only downside is there's always this little brain splinter in my mind on, did I interpret that right? How'd that do? What did it go? And even with my tarot, like I keep super detailed journal notes and I'm very strict on how closely the reading was. Like I don't, like I'm probably more stringent with my tarot readings than most people because a lot of people, they'll have this framed up and then they like kind of got to twist it and move it sideways and say, well, this happened. This could be it. I won't do that. Once it's framed, I leave it there. I'm just that kind of crazy, though. That's a personal thing. Most people aren't that kind of crazy. Most people do a lot other things. And my students, they've worked with me. They've seen me do tarot. I teach tarot. I have a tarot class on the thing at the school. It is I actually, if you're going to choose a divination, I would go with tarot as a starting divination, especially over pendulums or lucid dreaming, because at, though you still have interpretation, you are eliminating certain human elements like the idiomotor response and other things, making it far more. And this is important. You're also learning to listen because part of doing tarot truly is learning to not only see the card and know its meaning, but to listen to the card, listen to the energy around you, listen to if there's any entities around you, hear them, listen to what they say to you and speak to you. And that actually builds into other areas that can even go further into developing your divination practice much, much, much further. So, yeah, tarot is where I'd go for a starting one. Again, I am in a mood tonight, people. I just keep going down these rabbit trails. I'm sorry. Um, what is this? Lucas, there's a yeah, Lucas, definitely check out the school. Definitely. Thank you, Halloween, for posting the teachable link again. Appreciate that, share. And we jump. Crap. Man, it's so nice. Faust. Yes, that's the book. The play was sad. That book was depressing. A lot of that older literature can get a little depressing. It really can. Um, but it's so good. Oh, it's so good. I love me some Shakespeare. Faust ain't Shakespeare, just so y'all know that. Let's see. I work with crystals and stones with my magical works. I have not worked with yet diamond energy. Is there a dragon or spirit energy tied to it? So there are dragons and everything in just about different energy currents. And um, so you can find dragons. Now, those are what's referred to as a specialty dragon. They're not just something you reach out to and connect with initially. So you would actually have to get a guardian dragon, a co-magician, then you're going to have to actually work with the rulers, get to know the rulers, and get to understand the base elements before you can get into the specialty dragons properly. Um, which is covered in, well, you'd have to go through 101 and 102 to actually get the full. It's a process, but there are specialty dragons that would fit in with those different crystals and stones. Most, if not all of them, are going to be associated with the earth dragons because they are very heavily tied there. Obviously, they're stones. Some of them will be what's referred to as a cross element dragon. And then this is the case where perhaps the base element would be earth, but it would have a secondary element in some way that's strong enough to connect that would be a part of that. In the case of diamonds, diamonds are actually what they are solid earth gem. Um, they're one that Terrafana loves. They're one that Terrafana talks about a lot. So actually, you could even learn a great deal about diamonds just like if you was in 101. Let's say you signed up for 101. Terrafana is the first ruler you meet in 101. You could spend the next 5 years talking gemstones with Terrafana. You really could. And you still wouldn't have exhausted what she has to say. Fair warning, you get her talking gemstones, it's hard to shut her up. Fair. Just know that. But for a person who loves gemstones, that might not be a problem for you. Because I got a lot of friends, they are into their crystals and everything. And once you get them started, like Terrafana, it's hard to turn them off. So I get that. I'm the same way with a lot of things that I do. So definitely would be the best way. I'd go with Terrafana. And then if you decide you like Dragon Magic, you've worked through 101 and you want to go to 102 and start learning about specialty dragons, I would highly encourage it. Because I have seen amethyst dragons, I have seen diamond dragons, and they are freaking gorgeous. I don't work with crystals a lot in my magical practice. It's a science thing for me, but at the same time, like amethyst is kind of my stone. It and obsidian, I do use them as components due to symbolism for different reasons. And actually, amethyst is my birthstone too, so go figure. But yeah, when I got to see an amethyst dragon and a diamond dragon, they were freaking gorgeous. Be worth it. It'd be very worth it. All right. We jumped again. Oh, wait, what's this? Chat tonight. Maria, thank you so much, sweetie, for the $5 super chat. Busy chat tonight. Yes, it is. It's great. I'm having a little trouble keeping up, but that's okay. I am loving it. It is so great to see so many people here during the summer low. Take that, summer. Ha, ha, ha. We can still entertain people. I'm a disaster bean. The less tools I can accidentally misplace, the better. Halloween, yes. I'm literally getting to the point where I rarely use tools. The only tool I use at this point in my practice is my Dragon Magic implement, which you learn to make in Dragon Magic 101. And then you actually, there's a second working in 103. But and that's because the rituals I'm doing literally require it. And like I always have a weird feeling about that because it's like the dragon's like, you don't need tools, you don't need tools. And then this pops up and it's like, well, This is a different situation, but here's why. And at least they're willing to explain it, which is great. Because most people are like, you need to have this. Why? It directs energy. Can I do that with my finger? Yeah. Then why do I need that? Uh, Brianna, are Lucifer, Raphael, and Lucifer this? No, they are not. They are different entities. Um, let's see. Ray, I have trouble sensing energies and such, and overthinking whether or not I imagined it or not. I want to start working with dragons, but I'm not sure how to deal with that first. Okay, Ray, grab that teachable link. Go check out the Arcane Sight course. That course can also help you begin to work with energies. We also have a few videos on the Arcane Senses here. All this is free, by the way. The Arcane Sight course is 100% free. Um, and the Arcane Senses videos are free. Keep a journal, write down the way you feel. In fact, we actually have some videos on energy work itself where we're talking about feeling energy. Like, get a bowl of freaking water and feel the energy of water. Get a bowl of rocks or soil or earth and feel that. Okay, feel their differences. Go back and forth, feel their differences. What you got to understand is the sensations you're going to pick up on, you might describe them differently than I would. Like, you take two scotch drinkers and have them drink the same scotch, they're going to describe it differently because their palates and their brains are going to trigger in different ways. Energy work is the same way. So the kicker to this is you've got to take the time to do the work and do the experience to figure out, how do you register it? What is your brain registering? And if you have the thing in front of you and you're holding your hands over it and you're getting, like, let's say you do this a week and let's say you've got a candle here, that's lit. You got your bowl of water, you got your earth, you've got a fan blowing air, and you're literally going back and forth between these four elements, feeling their energy, and you're taking your notes. Well, if you're getting similar sensations between all four for a week, you're onto something. And then if you have a friend, you can even try to mix them up a bit, and try to have the friend put something in front of you and you feel the energy to guess what it is. That's ways you can develop it in the high regard. But honestly, if you just do the one where the week and you're getting a reliable result of what you're looking at and what you know, and it's feeling the same, you're on the ball, my man. That's all you really got to do. It ain't too complicated. And is it in your head? Part of that's going to be yes, honestly, it really is. Our imagination, we use this word imagination like it's a negative thing. Your arcane senses functions through the exact same neural network as your imagination. You could actually call it your magical imagination, because it's going to be what presents the information to your brain to register in a lot of ways. The thing you got to ask yourself, and the tricky part is, are you making it up or are you receiving it? And that's where that journal, the notes, and the constant data collecting comes in. Okay, that's that. And honestly, if you wanted to start in Dragon Magic 101, a lot of this stuff is also there. Dragon Magic 101 was laid out for beginners. Um, it really was. Where it goes through developing your senses, it goes through all these things. There's spell work in there, working with the dragons to help develop it. Um, so if you wanted to start developing your senses prior, go check out the free course and check out the videos here on this channel. Get you a jump start. If you're just dead set and ready to jump straight into 101, I won't begrudge it because I set that class up for beginners as well. I've seen the cards lie, but more often it's the user of the cards. That's actually one of the reasons I will not go to a tarot reader. I've literally sat back and watched a reader spin the reading in the way that they wanted, that was the most profitable to them. And I've also watched a tarot reader doing a reading for themselves, giving themselves the answer they wanted. So the cards are an inanimate object. They really are. You work with them, sure, there's going to be an energetic connection developed, but be careful. The cards can lie. They can lie. And most 90% of that lie is going to come from human error and the fact that you have a bias. We all have a bias. It's hard to separate ourselves from our bias. And in divinations, that's one of the first things you got to learn is how to step outside that bias. That's why if I get a reading that favors my bias, I'm immediately skeptical. I'll write it down. Don't get me wrong. I will write it down. But I will also label it. Is this one of the readings where I have a bias to agree with it? Or is this one that goes against my bias? I will label all my entries that way. Helps me to sort the information that way. Magician error is always a thing. The cards are inanimate objects made by humans. They're printed. And that has to be taken. I know there's a very, very heavy spiritual viewpoint where people's like the cards are alive. They have this personality, that personality. And if you're a spiritual individual who wants to go that route, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not spiritual. I don't have faith. I'm a magician. I do magic. Let's see, Vicky. I have tried tarot. I have the same thoughts as you about it. You're not crazy. I'm way too skeptical for my own good. Thank you so much for the extremely help. No problem. Like I said, tarot is an effective divination. It is. But you always have to be aware with any divination of human bias and human error and human contamination. That's actually one of the reasons I went to scrying, because with scrying, like there were ways that I could actually test my scrying ability beyond a shadow of a doubt. And that's one of the things that made me fall in love with scrying. Most people don't for many reasons. I understand that. I don't blame them personally. Scrying can be a pain in the freaking tail. But you got to find the divination that you can trust, that you enjoy. Because believe me, if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to want to do it. And one that when you're collecting your data and you're reviewing the data shows to be reliable. When I say reliable, you all know I've said this before on this channel, but for those who are new, if a spell, if a divination, if a ritual does not give me the manifestation that I'm seeking, 85% of the time or better, I view it as useless. I view it as useless. And 85% is as low as I would go. Most things that I do are higher than that for me in my personal practice. And I've had so many witches and mages and shamans be like, that is way too high of a standard. Is it though? Why is it? Why is it too high of a standard? Because I could walk outside, pray to the sun, or flip a coin and get a 50-50 result. So 50-50 ain't good enough for me by any measure of that stick. So I actually, and leaving the church and seeing the results I got in church and whatnot, I actually had to put a standard. One of the first things I realized is I personally, Drake, me, needs a standard for this is real, this is functional, because I don't have faith. My faith is dead. I am faithless. I am not a very spiritual person because my brain is wired to more science. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to have doubts. I'm going to be like, but why? But why? And I will not take because the spirit said so. The universe determined it. I actually find these statements to be more cop-out Philly to me. And that's the reason I go the direction I do. So yes, 85% or better manifestation. If I sit down and do it, if I'm going to put the time into doing this spell or this ritual, I expect 85% better manifestation on my work, period. And there's people call me crazy, but for me, it works and it is for me. And again, I've said this before on this channel, but I will reiterate it. If your path is working to get you where you wish to go and is fulfilling you, everyone else can shut up. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be about a manifestation percentage. It doesn't have to be any of that. If it's working for you and giving you what you want, it doesn't matter. Your path is working for you. I can't tell you what you're looking for. I can't tell you what you're seeking. I can't, if you come to me and you're like, well, I've been doing this, it's been working, but I'd like to improve it. We can have a discussion on how to improve it, but I'm not going to tell you what you were doing before was wrong, if that makes sense. Now, if you come to me and like, I've done this 2,000 times over the last 3 years and never got one result, I'm about to quit Magick altogether. Could you evaluate my process and give me something to try before I quit? Then, yeah, there's a discussion to be had there too. Because I'll tell you right now, if this didn't work, if I didn't get the results, I wouldn't be doing it. I'd have done walked away. And many of you know I actually got into this to prove magic didn't work. That was my goal. I was fed up with religion. I was fed up with spirituality. I was fed up with magic. I was fed up with it all. And I had pretty much killed the other two in my life to the point where it's like, nope, they're not a thing. But this one intrigued me. This one had a bit of, mechanical bits and bobbles I could play with. And people kept referring to it as a magical science. And I was like, all right, here, I'm going to dive in. I'm going to put this to the test. And I'm going to disprove it so that we can just put this one to bed too, and I'm going to move on. Didn't work that way. Instead of disproving it, I actually collected the data and proved it was functioning for me. And then somehow I ended up here. So it's been a long, strange ride, but it's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. In fact, we actually have a roundtable discussion coming up. Not this week. It might be next week. It's in the next week or so. Where we discuss magic and science in certain terms and stuff like that and how they're used differently. It's really a lot of fun. We had a bunch of people nerding out on that. If you want to see us nerding, we will nerd. That was a very nerdy but fun one. In fact, we actually had a guest on there. It was actually one of our own channel members you see often here in stream. So I won't out them. I'm going to save that. So you got to go check the video out to see who they are. And there's the clocks because I'm way behind here. I'm way behind here. Oh, I am. All right, Jade, thank you very much for the clocks. It is raining clocks. Everyone, have a fantastic week. Check out this video this week, okay? Please, please, please check out the Tuesday video. This is an outdoor video. We're talking about checking your gear before you go. I am actually going to be in the video. I'm showing a new piece of gear that I'm testing. It's a little off. I'm still trying to figure out my format and how we're going to work these outdoor videos. Most of these videos, I get to do the armchair thing and sit here in the office. With the outdoor videos, we know that's not a case. I'm going to be playing around with, I'm trying to learn to use this GoPro thing here. So please check the video out. Join me for the shenanigans that will be me trying to figure out how the fuck I'm going to make these videos work, because I do fully intend to do outdoor videos where I actually do show how to do some rituals and spell work at the campsite by the fire, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Share my outdoor experience with you all. So please, and give me some critiques if you can. I may ask you for critiques during the next live stream, where I can attempt. I can't promise I can fix it because I'm limited. You can't control lighting and exterior sounds, but I would like to know some feedback from you all so that moving forward, and as I adjust and figure out my outdoor filming groove, that you guys can potentially help me refine that as well. I do value your all's feedback. So till next time, everyone, you have a fantastic week. Keep improving, keep going, keep making that progress day after day. Try to be just a little better than you were yesterday. And if you can't, that's okay too. Get up, dust yourself off. Figure out where you went wrong, learn from your experiences, enjoy this great journey and adventure that is life, both the ups and the downs. Enjoy them both. And I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.